Welcome to Screen Chat, live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca. So,
we break down all things pop culture, from the hottest takes to the deepest cuts.
some things that are comic accurate shouldn't be on the TV.
From the latest Marvel blockbusters. I think we need an Amazing Spider-Man 3 before we get that, if that's the case.
Very true.
To DC's Darkest Nights, and like, how do you get Christopher Nolan to do superheroes and make something that good? And it was just number one.
And to galaxies far, far away. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin, all these characters who are mainstream, they have to not just take things at face value.
We got you covered. Plus, you never know who may join us. Well, we should put up the one, yeah.
It's that.
Looks a bit.
To tell us that.
Yeah, he literally did
used
tell
to
us
say
that.
I'm at flight,
These
bro.
guys are trolling.
This is Screen Chat.
Pop culture, real talk.
And everything in between.
Live from the Media Hub.
On riotradio.ca.
Welcome to Screen Chat, live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca. I'm your host, Justin, and with me as always is my co-host, Eldin. Eldin, thank you for being here.
Hello.
So, Eldin, have you ever heard of the tragedy of Doth Plagueis the Wise?
I have.
It's not something you would have heard from the Jedi.
No, it wasn't. Something I heard from the Sith, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, the one and only Sith, actually. Who knows the story?
do you know? So, I guess you know the powers of the dark side.
I do. You could say I've studied it well.
So, you know how to, I guess, manipulate the mitochondria.
I've read the book, yes, okay?
So, guys, as you guys know, Screen Chat is your show all about the latest Marvel movies, DC Comics, Star Wars adaptations, and much, much more. Today, we have a very, exciting episode. We have Screen Chat, not a story the Jedi will tell you, but we will, as it is the official 20th anniversary of Star Wars Episode 3 on Monday. So I thought, let's do our own Episode 3 kind of breakdown, because we have spoken about this film multiple times before, but let's do kind of a different approach, because this is such a cult classic for, I think, all of us. And now, yeah, we get a chance to talk about it.
I've never actually seen it.
Okay, you can stop trolling.
I'm pretty sure I have this actual DVD. I mean, it's on the table with us, but I have that DVD that Justin has here. So
Yeah, I decided to bring in some. We both have some stuff. You know, going from left to right, we do have the helmet of Boba Fett, played by Tamara Morrison, who I did meet.
Bichette.
Boba Fett.
Actually, no. This is Django's. This is Django's Death Watch helmet.
Listen, man. You know,
What can I
don't
say?
even know what to say.
And then above it, I have Genny Tarkarov's action figure of Obi-Wan Kenobi in his clone Jedi armor, which is amazing. I love seeing that.
Yeah, and then I brought in this Episode 3 comic. This is part 4 of the 4-part miniseries. I know I brought it in a couple episodes. Not a couple, but a long time ago. I wonder.
Yeah, I wonder what happened. I've never seen who are these two guys. I've never seen them before.
Then in the middle, we got obviously the DVD of Episode 3. I've had this for as long as I can remember. I literally do not remember life without having this DVD. Then I brought in my Anakin Skywalker Funko Pop from the film as well, just cause. And then shout out to Dan, how this Mr. Potato Head Stormtrooper.
Which is probably older than Justin, if we're being
Yeah,
honest.
probably
I
is,
think it
honestly.
actually might be older than Justin.
Yeah, so yeah, we do have a fun time today to talk about Episode 3. And let's just get straight into it.
We're talking about Empire Strikes Back.
Oh my God. Be serious.
Okay.
Okay.
So before we even say anything, I just want to say, Justin put so much work into this episode. We've been talking about this episode for months. We both love Star Wars. I think Star Wars is one thing that one we can all agree on. Doesn't matter which movie, doesn't matter which episode, doesn't matter comics, books, doesn't matter. We all love it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good thing.
I know, right? Yeah.
We are the fans who don't hate, and we try our best to just... Well, unless it's the Acolyte. If it's the Acolyte, we really hate the Acolyte.
The what?
Yeah, exactly. We don't talk about that. So, with that being said, Justin, you put all this work into it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, for me, Episode 3, big part of my childhood. I'll die on the hill that if this movie didn't exist, I would not be a Star Wars fan. I think for what this movie brought to my childhood, the lore in between the prequel films, the spin-off video games, the spin-off shows, this movie to me is probably my personal favorite movie of all time, in my honest opinion.
Yeah.
And it just has so much, I guess, to me, it has so much weight. I don't think there's a movie that comes
it's actually
close.
pretty light.
It does. There's not really a lot of movies that come close to me as a fan watching a film.
Yep.
And 20 years later, we could just get a chance to still talk about it. And I think that speaks volumes about the film.
Yep.
I'm not going to compare it in that sentence to other movies, but I feel like when the 20th anniversary of Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones came out, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I don't think I was nearly as moved as this.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this. We were talking about this with Charles actually earlier about how there's always a dark horse in the series. There's one movie that's a little worse, and that was Phantom Menace, and then I love Clone Wars because I watched as a kid I was just so cool on Genosha. The battles was so good, and then this one just ties it in together, and it finishes off the story.
Yep.
This is the Clone Wars. This tells the story of how Anakin became. Spoiler alert, Darth Vader.
Yeah, and I think that's like just the greatest story that they could have ever
so
told.
cool.
So yeah, just diving into the film, I wanted to do kind of like a more fun review on the movie because Eldon and I, we've spoken about this film more in-depthly multiple times already, so I don't want to like relay the same points. So in chronological order, I tried to get some of our favorite moments. Does stuff still hold up? And like, what do we remember the most? So just diving in, right off the bat, we have the Battle of Coruscant.
Yeah, that's diving in. That's how it opens with the arc wings. I love the arc wings.
It's so cool, man.
So
when
many
you
clone
see,
troopers die here.
when you see like this image of the Battle of Coruscant, like what comes into your mind?
I gotta say, it's probably one of the best opening scenes. It's just immediate action.
Yeah.
Like you have two different types of CIS ships. You get to see the vulture droids. You get to see the hyena droids. I love the hyena bomber, which is the big ones that transform into two heads. So cool. The vulture droids, the single ones. You see buzz droids. Like you see so much cool stuff. This is the death of R5.
I know that really hit me as a child. I'm not gonna lie.
And like this is just such a good. And if you didn't, so Gendy Tarkarov, he shows Palpatine being kidnapped, and the what do you call it? The extended edition, it shows Shaak Ti being kidnapped by Grievous and how it all happened.
It was pretty cool.
Which kind of ties all together. But this is so cool. And like as a kid, I can just remember like just the noise. It hits you like a wall.
Yeah.
Like the crawls there, and then all of a sudden and like I love the clone troopers. So you see like some arc wings and you see the Jedi starfighters. Just so cool.
And I think too, right? Like as a kid, I just started gleaming. I'm like, yo, this scene is going to be amazing. And then before I could say it, Anakin says one of my favorite quotes of the whole movie, "This is where the fun begins." And I think this is so iconic. Like this movie has so much cool and memorable quotes to me. I just think
so like
he's just so happy.
Off his rocker here.
Yeah.
Like he's actively like they're in a war zone. Palpatine's been kidnapped. And he's like, this is where the fun begins.
Yeah. And like, I love Hayden Christensen so much. And like, I thought his portrayal I loved it. I thought it was great. And like, just again, quotable moments, man. Like, one of my favorite things that he ever said to Obi-Wan was, "Hold on, this whole operation was your idea." And like, it's just so funny.
Yeah, I like R2 in the background.
Like, I still use that quote all the time whenever someone flops on their own motive.
Twice today.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So yeah, before we move past this, what are your thoughts on like Hayden's quotes in this movie?
So we had a good conversation too about this before, about how like the people who hated on Hayden Christensen was never us.
Yeah.
It was never us. He played the role to a T.
Exactly.
He was the brooding teenage, because he's not in the entire movie, he's not over the age of like 19.
Yeah.
Like he's a kid. Like he is barely an adult. When I was 19, I was just as brooding and like whiny as he was.
Yeah.
And like you get to see that. And I think growing up for us, it was nice. We had to see him as a kid. We had to see him as like, Annie, the pod racer. And then we had to see him in episode 2 as like kind of like branching out. And then we had to see him in episode 3. And the Clone Wars really ties it all together too. So I think in this alone, if we just look at this as in a vacuum, just this episode, no. Like there's so many good quotes.
Yeah,
there's so many good quotes that Anakin says. This movie, I'm happy it didn't kill his career.
Yeah, I'm with you.
He deserves so much more than the hate. And it's like something happened with John Boyega, right? Like
honestly,
it's not fair to hate out actors because you're upset how they play the role when they played the role so well.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I think another, I guess, good portrayal and like really cool portrayal that he has was, I guess, a upset Jedi, because there's a lot of Jedi turmoil in this movie. Anakin Skywalker, he wanted to become a member of the council, he wanted to become a master, and they just didn't give it to him.
He would have been the youngest master too.
Yeah,
actually.
They gave him a seat on the council, but they did not grant him the rank of master, which has never happened in the history of the Jedi.
Just with this being said, like Palpatine orchestrated this so well, where he basically forced Anakin onto it, and it made the Jedi so upset because you can't just overstep the bounds. It's like church and state. They don't they're not supposed to cross over. And also the Jedi have been supposed to be peacekeepers, and now they're just weapons of war.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool. We'll use the words later, but it's a cool point of view, that they both have.
The Jedi are evil.
That they both have during this movie, and I feel like, to Eldon's point, Palpatine definitely manipulates it a lot.
I'm also pretty sure the Jedi in between Mace and Anakin is one of the oldest Jedis in the Order. I think we see him dead in Obi-Wan.
Oh, word.
I think he's the one in the Bacta tank or the frozen amber.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, there you go. That's a good pull. What would I do without the Star Wars Wikipedia next to me?
Behind him is Sassy 10. Rip, Sassy 10.
A fun fact for you guys, Eldon is actually the main admin of Wikipedia. So.
I wish. I do go back on Wikipedia a lot.
Yeah. Now, another cool part, just to steer away from Anakin, was definitely Ewan McGregor's portrayal throughout the prequels, but specifically his interactions with General Grievous. And I thought Grievous and Obi-Wan, whenever they shared the screen, were just amazing. And there's obviously the iconic drop in and then hello there. And then that was your point.
Oh, sorry. Hello there. I can't do the General Grievous voice.
You were supposed to do General Kenobi.
But like, it's just like the way he shrugs off the coat.
Yeah.
Like he just shrugs it off, and then his arms start to twitch, and it's like. I used to do this as a kid so many times. Somewhere I got bullied, but like, and then just like, so cool. And like so again, Genny Tarkarov, check it out. He does like. Have you seen Grievous fight in that version?
Yes.
Where he's like doing backflips and kicking, and like he kicks on 5 Jedi at once.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
This is so cool. Like they did Grievous so dirty by only having him like in a little bit, but he looks so cool. I actually I should have brought. I have a General Grievous one too. I have an action figure.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
We found them at my mom's, so I'll bring it in.
Yeah, and what I really like too, just to kind of I guess backtrack off your point. When I was a kid, it's gonna sound stupid, but I always thought that Grievous was like an evil Jedi. So not a Sith, just an evil Jedi because he has the lightsabers. Yeah. And my dad kept saying, no, like he just stole them. Yep. Like listen to what he says. Listen to how he brings them out of the coat. Like, nah, man, like he just stole them. And
He's got like 20.
Yeah.
Like it's terrifying.
It actually
He's killed so many Jedi. I think between him and Savage Opress.
Shout out Savage, yeah.
And maybe, well, definitely Anakin, actually. Anakin. The three of them have like the most in this area.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I really enjoyed all the on-screen interactions between these two.
Just like the twirling.
Yep. But I also enjoyed a lot, well, not a lot, but just the on-screen, I guess, interactions between Mace Windu and Emperor Palpatine. You know, their iconic fight there. And I think, like,
it's treason.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time, how it was actually insane to me that Mace Windu pulled up with 3 other Jedi, Kit Fisto included.
Sassy Tin. Argus. I looked it up.
Yep.
The Brak.
Yep. And I thought it was cool that
he doesn't live long.
That Palpatine doesn't really back down, obviously, because he is the dark Sith Lord. And
the Sith Lord.
Yeah, he ends up just destroying the 3 of them. And then these guys have such a good fight. I really enjoyed it. I love Sam Jackson's interpretation.
Which
obviously.
We kind of also said, like, Palpatine just like stopped electrocuting himself.
Yeah, would not have happened.
He was just a better duelist.
Yeah, and like the fact that you see Mace Windu with the purple lightsaber throughout this movie, that was so cool, man. So this is another big moment for at least me. I know you as well. I know you really like this scene,
I love it. This is kind of the turning point in the movie.
Yeah, and I think, using that word, this now leads to Anakin turning. Anakin turns the dark side.
Her against me.
Yeah, and like just this iconic shot right there. From this point on, you'll be now known as Darth Vader, and it's like
he's got the smoker's voice at this point, so it's Darth Vader.
It was so good. And like one of the most iconic moments in Star Wars, and when I was in the theaters recently, I did slowly clap for this, was the iconic Master Skywalker. There's too many of them. What are we gonna do?
What are we gonna do?
And he just and the youngling takes a step back.
He's like, oh
man, it was
which
so
is funny
good.
too, because when you see Kenobi and Yoda going back and finding younglings dead, they're not in there. Like there's a bunch of them just randomly in a hallway.
Yeah, so like, man, it makes you think.
Again, I'm if these kids could have like unionized, they could have taken them down right then and there. You got like 20 kids who are force sensitive with lightsabers.
Yeah, this could have been the next Legion of Sith. But then Anakin discovered them instead of, training them. And
well, again, Palpatine does say.
Yeah, so...
Clear it out.
Yeah, he does.
Take care of it.
And then this obviously leads to Anakin versus Obi-Wan, which is the most iconic fight scene in movie history. I wish I was alive I wish I was old enough, in 2005 to have seen this for the first time in theaters, but just watching this for the first time as a kid with my dad, like, it was just insane. So cool. Well, we're going to do more of a deep dive soon on that specific fight, but just looking back, what do you think when you see this image right there?
I mean, this whole thing is like where Anakin now is the villain. Like, yeah, okay, killed a bunch of kids. Okay, that's kind of villainous, yeah. He also killed the Tuskens as well, but still. This is like at this point, there is no turning back. You can forgive a bunch of murders of the Jedi, but at this point, it's like, okay, now I'm fighting my brother, my mentor, my father figure, the man who basically raised me. And in a weird way, because Anakin shouldn't have been a Jedi. He was too old, too much attachment. And Obi-Wan took him under his belt. And Obi-Wan was made. I think actually Obi-Wan might have been the youngest master.
I think so.
Yeah. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, boom, here we go. I'm gonna look after it. And just the music and the symbols as the lava like bursts, and it's just so good.
And I love that. If we come back to our table here, I love that we see, I guess, different interpretations. We see it on the front of the comic book there. We see it on the movies, and it's so cool.
It's the same picture on the movie.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Same ways. Anyways, back to what I was saying.
okay.
I just like that no matter what. No, okay. You interrupted me because this was going to be my point. That throughout the 2000s, you saw different interpretations of this. You saw it in various video games, such as the Episode 3 video game. You saw it in the Lego Star
for the
Wars
Game Boy
game.
one?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, the side scroller.
yeah.
And you could play as Anakin or Obi-Wan, and you fought.
Yeah, it was
Anakin
so
at the end.
cool,
Very
man.
good.
You also see it in a comic book. If you have the novelization, you read it in there.
Yep.
All these years later, different like remasters of it. And I think it's pretty cool that to my point of it being the most iconic fight, there's so many lenses you could look at this in, whether it was Lego, whether it was on the Game Boy, the movie itself. But it's true though, right? And I think that's what the beauty of it all was, is that there wasn't a correct way to watch this fight. There was a best way, which is obviously the film, but there are so many different ways you could take in that fight, and that's why it's the best.
It's
for
just so good too. Like, if you would taken this movie and like, at this point, the final act is the best act of the movie.
Yeah.
I arguably I like Obi-Wan Kenobi on Utapau, but this
me. So good, man.
is amazing.
And so this kind of brings me to my next point was, does it still hit all these years later? And I think so. You know, if we start off with Anakin and Padme, throughout this movie, they were just, I would say they were going through it in the best possible way.
It's a pretty bad marital spat.
And then eventually this, oh man, just
Counseling
this
would have
scene.
fixed this. If they just had one counselor, this might have helped.
When you see this photo of Natalie Portman and Hayden Christensen right there, what goes on in your mind? Like, what do you think?
Well, this is the worst part. Like, she's clinging. She's heavily pregnant.
Yep.
She's clinging to Anakin, and it's like just like begging and pleading. And he's so consumed with hate and the dark side that he doesn't even realize what's happening. He doesn't
know.
even care. His whole purpose was to change to the dark side was to save her. And now he's fallen so far that he does not care anymore. Like, this is heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is. And then this leads us to Anakin and Obi-Wan's final dialogues before the iconic fight. And just seeing this, I brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to my new empire.
Oh, new empire.
It's just so good, man. And like,
You went to destroy them, not join them.
bring balance in the force, not leave it in darkness. It was just so good. And I feel like throughout this whole ordeal that they had, I think personally, and I don't know if this is a crazy take, Star Wars to me could literally be the final 30 minutes of this movie and I'd still be satisfied. Like, if you got rid of everything that was in Star Wars, but you left me with the final 30 minutes of this film, I'm okay with that, because that includes Sidious and Yoda as well. But just like,
Yes, it
it
does.
was just so good. And like,
And it also includes like some other big plot points too, like Bail Organa and like the birth of Luke and Leia.
and like,
Okay,
just
fair. You got a lot there.
yeah, they have a lot of cool moments and dialogues, and I know that there's more towards the end when obviously we have the iconic high ground scene, and I think that, oh man, it just, my dad would quote that all the time when I was a
Don't
kid.
try it. I have the high ground.
It's over,
You
Anakin.
underestimate my power.
Don't try it. And then you just,
I'm like, oh.
it was so good. And
All I've
then-
got is my mechanical limbs. Well, actually, he was mostly mechanical. Actually,
Yeah,
he lost his hand again.
And just this moment
guy.
of when Obi-Wan's doing the monologue of like, I loved you, and then he just goes, I hate you, and I'm like, oh my god, it just hits. And I feel like
Brought that to me, Anakin.
this is a movie that, like, I got a chance to see it in theaters recently
so
when
mad I
it
didn't.
came back.
Yeah.
Oh my god, man, like, I think I was crying real tears. And like, the movie only gets better as you get older, in my opinion. If you watch this movie as a kid and you grew up with it, you liked it because it looked cool. But when you become an adult, you like it because you actually understand the movie a bit better. And I think that's just why, to me, it does still hit.
We
all
also
these
did
years
make
later.
the point in the office that like the animated stuff, the comics, it adds so much more depth to these characters. If you watched all 7 seasons of Clone Wars, and then went and watched this, it's like, oh wow, this is the death of an era.
Literally,
Like,
right?
this is it.
And like, I think, to me, just to go back to my
Well, then
point.
also, sorry, Kenobi.
Yeah,
you have to watch
Kenobi as
Kenobi as
well.
well, because like that Kenobi is you get to see it again. You get to see the second fight.
Yeah, that we always knew about, but we didn't get to see. So yeah, I feel like what this movie brought to the Star Wars culture is something that I don't think any of the other eight and a half movies really do. You know, I'm not gonna count some of them, such as Episode 8 and Solo, but then Rogue One is like a 0.5 of a film in my opinion. I'm kidding. That was a joke. But in all seriousness,
On the week of Andor's finale, you dare say that?
yeah. But anyways, I feel like this movie did something to the culture that none of the other films really do for me. So not in general, but for me, this is just the number one. I don't think there's really a debate. And I think the fact that for a fan of Star Wars, if you were in 2005, all you wanted to know was how did Anakin get put in the suit? And eventually when we finally see that iconic transformation into Darth Vader, you see the breathing. It was just, or you hear the breathing, it was just so peak. And then when he asked Palpatine what happened to Padme, and when Palpatine says, go for it.
Yeah.
No. I didn't know you were going to do that. You should have let me finish.
Well, it's the same thing, okay?
Well, no, I didn't get there yet.
That is him saying no.
But I didn't get there yet. Okay, well, back to me. When Palpatine says, it seems like in your rage, you killed her. Then he says, that's impossible. She was alive. And then you...
But like also like him shaking and the force being so strong and killing those poor droids. They're just like, we just operated on this guy.
Yeah, he like breaks free and then he screams. It was. Oh,
the
it was
breaks
insane.
free is like so mechanical too because
Yeah.
he's so like stiff. It's just like...
It was so good.
No.
So yeah, that was pretty much like that was like episode 3 review in a nutshell, chronological order.
That was pretty good. I think we did pretty well there.
But there is one thing though that we didn't actually touch upon yet. And that is, well, none other than Darth Plagueis the Wise. This is like the most ironic part of the movie, was talking about this Sith Master.
Have you ever heard of the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
So Eldin, enlighten us. Who is Darth Plagueis?
Okay, so if you ever read the book or even seen the comics, you got a lot of catching up. So Darth Plagueis was Sidious's master. If you've seen the Acolyte, you see Plagueis, who is the secret Sith. He should not be there, but he is. His master was Darth Tenebrous, who is a Bith, and they are that band of little buttheads. Yeah, that's them. Yeah, so Plagueis is the master who orchestrated all this. We would not have Anakin without Plagueis.
Yeah,
Plagueis,
he's literally Eisen.
He mastered the Force so well that he could control the midichlorians. And between Sidious, Plagueis, and ultimately Tenebrous as well, they created Anakin. They put Anakin in Shmi. That's his mom. I always remember that too. And what's with like Star Wars characters and Shiv, Shmi?
Yeah, I know. And what I think it's cool is that like for us as fans in 2005, when we hear Plagueis, he's just a myth. He's
like,
a legend.
Who is this guy?
But then, you know, when you read the books, you find out, like Eldin said, that he has a lot of stories with Palpatine. And it's cool to see their dynamic because Plagueis himself rescued Palpatine from his family. You know, he encouraged him to kill his family because they had, I guess, political conflicts. It was Palpatine wanted to change Naboo. The family didn't want to, so he says, you know what, not only am I killing my father, I'm killing everyone.
Cleaning house.
Yeah, and then Plagueis now becomes Palpatine's father figure, and it's really cool to see the dynamic of we're going to be hidden figures because, to Eldon's point off air that he said to me, Plagueis was like a top banker. He was he was worth a ton of Star Wars credits.
He's
I don't know what
part of the banking clan. They're just credits.
Yeah, and then we look at Palpatine. He obviously is a political leader, but it's cool to see their comic book and novelization dynamics because they have a lot of cool stories.
And just another point too, just the whole secrecy thing is because also the Sith are supposed to be the Sith are extinct. They thought so. That's the whole thing. Is like Tenebrous has been hiding in the dark. You have Hugo Damas, who is the actual real name of Darth Plagueis, and he is a banking clan. He runs the banking clan, and he hides because he doesn't want the Sith. If their plan is found, they lose.
Yep,
and that's why two Sith brought down the entire Republic.
Yeah, it's actually
which is
crazy.
Insane. They orchestrated the entire Clone War, and if you read the Palpatine, like the Darth Plagueis book, you get to see it all unfold. Now, it was canon originally. Now it's deemed not canon.
Yeah.
If the Acolyte's canon, then this can be canon, in my opinion.
When I was a kid, I loved the idea of Darth Plagueis. I actually didn't know what he looked like, who he was, and I always thought he was the biggest mystery. Because when I'm a kid, I don't know that there's extended universe stuff, such as books and comics. But as much as we did not like the Acolyte, it did give us a nice cameo that was Darth Plagueis the Wise. And I loved it. Even though it did nothing and it meant nothing, I said from the start, I was just like, the show is going to end with Darth Plagueis revealing himself. I thought he was going to kill Soul. That didn't happen. But this was acceptable, for lack of better words. So, yeah, I was really happy that we got a chance to see him.
Acceptable.
Except that.
Except nothing.
And then it just goes back to what we said, like the irony of the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, because when Palpatine tells Anakin, he also mentions that it's a Sith legend, but that's what, like, we had this conversation about a year ago. Who else would have known? Nobody would have known. The Sith legend was like 10 years old.
To fill in the blanks, spoiler alert for the book. If you haven't read the book and you want to read the book now. pause this, come back in a week after you finish reading the book, or a couple days. Now, Palpatine ultimately, as all Sith masters have, or all Sith masters have to do to become a master, kills his master.
Yep.
And he basically, after the death of Qui-Gon Jinn, and just before Maul dies.
Yep.
Actually, no, I guess because Maul dies in that first fight.
Yeah, it was just before, though, and according to the books.
So Qui-Gon Jinn dies, and they've already like kind of won the Senate seat, and they feel something in the Force, and you know they're like, hey, let's celebrate. Have some wine. Have 6 bottles of wine. Yeah. Oh, Plagueis, you're a little sleepy. Go have. And Plagueis hasn't slept in 20 years, by the way, too, because he's got some like breathing apparatus that keeps him going. So he goes to bed, and Palpatine Force lightnings him to death. And
crazy,
Plagueis,
man.
I don't think had Force lightning either.
I don't think
it was
he did,
only really a thing that Palpatine had at the time. Zaps him to death, and then that's it. That's the end of him. So this legend, this Sith legend, is only known by one person, technically 2. Maul knew it for a short period of time because Maul knew Plagueis, but didn't know Plagueis' death.
Yeah.
So
I just think that that's the most ironic part of the movie is that when he says to Anakin, "Do you know the tragedy?" and he just goes, "No." It's like, it's not something that Jedi would tell you. My brother in Christ, it's not something anybody would tell anybody because nobody knows but you.
We put it in perspective as if something happened to me when I was by myself and came into work and was like, "Hey guys, you're not going to believe what happened." And you're like, "Oh, what happened?" Well, not something you'd find out on your own. It's like, yes, that's the premise. You are the storyteller.
And I think that's what really like gravitates to me with this scene. So I want to do something fun today. We haven't actually ever done this on the show.
It was pretty fun.
But we decided to see, do people know the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? So I actually had the opportunity to go interview some students on campus to see what they would say. Yeah, Eldin was there too with me, and it was a really fun experience. But let's just take a look and see what they thought before we wrap up Darth Plagueis the Wise. So here you guys go. Hope you guys enjoy. The tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. Not a story the Jedi would tell you. But let's see if the Jedi told Durham College. Yeah, so we're just interviewing students today. What is your name and what program are you in?
My name is Holly, and I was in the Crane Operating and Rigging Techniques program.
Amazing. Nice. Did you enjoy that one?
I loved it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Then secondly, do you know the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
I don't know the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. Please enlighten me.
Oh, great. We can be here all day.
Okay.
Yeah, so what is your name and what program are you in?
My name is Garima Lamithane, and I'm in Biomedical Engineering Technology.
Ooh, nice. How are you enjoying that so far?
It's going good, pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then secondly, do you know the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
No.
Oh, you're not that wise. All right, yeah, so what is your name and what program are you in?
Hi, my name is Sam, and I'm in broadcasting.
Amazing. Yeah, how are you enjoying that so far?
I'm loving it.
Amazing. I'm glad to hear that. And then hopefully you love this, but do you know the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
No, I have no freaking idea.
Really? Not a whisper, not a legend, not a bedtime story? You've never heard of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
No, I have no idea.
All right, yeah, so what is your name and what program are you in?
I'm Cassandra and I'm in broadcasting.
Oh, that's amazing. How are you liking broadcasting?
I love it.
That's great, and I hope you love this.
Yeah.
Do you know the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
I know of him, but not his story.
Ooh, a fine apprentice you may make one day. Yeah, so we're just interviewing students today here at Durham College. What program are you in?
It's Patagon nursing.
Nice. How are you enjoying that?
I'm a fly, so because I'm returning this year.
Nice.
The last year I didn't pass it.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good. And then finally, do you know the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
I underestimated your power. Thank you so much today. What is your name and what program are you in?
I'm Rajalakshmi. I'm in Artificial Intelligence program.
Oh, nice. That sounds good. Are you enjoying that so far?
Yeah, I am.
Nice. Amazing. So, finally, we just want to know, do you know the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
No, I don't know. Sorry.
It's not something AI intelligence would teach you. Yeah, so there you have it.
As you can see, not a lot of Star Wars fans on campus, which is a little disheartening.
I know, yeah. But overall, it was a fun experience just trying to get people's voices on Darth Plagueis the Wise. Because again, who would have known the tragedy?
We did. That was about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so, overall, episode 3, it turned 20 years. It's turning 20 years officially on Monday. And
the
it just
19th, right?
Yeah, the 19th. And it's just looking back, one of, if not the best films that you could ever see with friends. And I absolutely love it. And I'm just so glad we have a chance to discuss it all these years later. And before we do wrap it up, I actually did have some fan submissions as well. Given their thoughts. So I'm just going to go on to my Instagram. I told all the boys, I'm like, you know what? I'm doing one on episode 3 today. Let's hear your opinions. So my boy Dylan, he says, I will never forget realizing that Mace finally had the courage to trust Anakin. And yeah, that's a really good plot point there. He's referring to, I believe, when he tells young Skywalker to stay here, and then if what you've told me is true about Palpatine, you have earned my trust. So thought that was pretty cool. Ethan says Kit Fisto died due to plot armor. I fully agree, because Kit Fisto is one of my favorite characters ever. So to see him go down like that was unfortunate.
Same thing with Plo Koon.
Yeah, really and truly.
All the Jedi, actually. That's such a wow. We didn't get the picture of Keanu.
Oh, we should have.
Yeah, I told. Okay, so before I'm sorry to cut this off. Before we even go, the death of Keanu should have been there for our favorite things, because Keanu getting gunned down on the bridge is one of my favorite things. If you read the books, if you know who Keanu is, he's not a very good Jedi. He's a very bad person.
Such a terrible person.
Like when he's like, "What about the attack on the Wookiees?" in episode, is that episode 2?
Yeah, episode 2.
Yeah, currently his people are being slaughtered, and he's like, "Well, what about the Wookiees?" And it's like, "Thanks, Keanu. How's your 9 wives and 10 kids?" Like.
Anyways, so moving on, Taryn says, seeing it in theaters with the boys somehow made the perfect movie even better. And I fully agree. I saw it with him as well and a couple of our other friends. Amazing.
Not me, though.
He also says, General Grievous has the hardest theme for a character in all of Star Wars history. Yeah, that's a great take.
Bike.
Yeah.
So good.
Jaden says, best movie of all time. Watched that in theaters a couple weeks ago 3 times. Amen to that. And then my boy Jordy, who doesn't really have good takes. Jordy actually has the worst takes you could ever hear from somebody. He says that is better than Return of the Jedi, which I fully agree with.
So Jordy's redeemed himself.
He has redeemed himself there. So yeah, man, overall, Eldin, I think we're going to wrap it up there.
Totally.
Yeah, thank you so much for being a part of this.
Happy to be here again. This is one of you have put so much work into this, so I'm happy we finally got to do it. Yeah, it's such a good part of our, I guess, just lives.
Yeah, just raging.
Like, it's just there. Like I've seen it with all my siblings and my dad, like and my mom too. Like we've it's a lot of history there. So.
Yeah, episode 3 means a lot to me. Like I said, it's my favorite film of all time. Don't know what fandom I would be a part of without the movie, and like it just means a lot to me personally. And like I'm just glad we got a chance to discuss it.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is not a bad fandom to be, but you be TMNT.
Yeah, thank you again to Evan behind the scenes for tech, and really appreciate it. We
thank you, Charles, for sticking around to watch with us.
Thank you, Charles. Appreciate it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Screen Chat. Not a tragedy, the Jedi will tell you, but we did. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you to Eldin for being here.
Thank you, Justin, for being here.
I've been Justin, and this has been Screen Chat live from the Media Hub on RiotRadio.ca.